Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go on an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is my guy, he is 71 years old, and he shares his story how, like many guys, he rushed into a relationship with his now ex-wife. And when I say rushing in, I do mean rushing, like married after 3 months of dating at 19 years old. And let's just say, like many guys are rushing at things, as the saying goes, fools rush in, it didn't work too well in the long term. And you're going to see what he endures for a very long time. However, eventually our guy, finds peace and happiness and peace and quiet when he gets rid of her. But let me tell you, the lessons he learns along the way definitely back up the things to talk about in this channel. While you don't rush into relationships, you spend years getting to know your girl. The second she starts causing disrespect, you check her. And if there's too much or she cheats, you get rid of her. You never take back a cheater. You never let things slide, or it's only going to get worse and worse. And how this story, as you're going to see, and he admits he deserves many smacks, it applies. What happened decades ago works today. Because human nature is the same, whatever time period is, whether it's right now or 500 years ago or in fucking Mesopotamia. It's the same thing. Men do what they do, women do what they do, and we all respond to the same thing. So it's important lessons in this story, a little life journey of this guy for 50 freaking years. But in the end, he's going to be okay. But my God, definitely learn from this dude's mistakes. It says, Dear SSM, my experience is one that requires lots of slaps, deservingly so. Well, don't worry, I warmed up my smacking arm. I was a very shy, introverted young man. I had very few friends growing up, and to this day, I only have 2 people that I call my real friends. My first girlfriend, in high school, we dated for about a year and a half. This brought me through graduation. One night, a group from our church went to the roller rink. The roller rink, holy crap, we're going back in time here. Granted, you're 71 now, I'm probably born in 1953. While there, I was introduced to a gal I'd never seen before. She was a stone-cold fox, and I was smitten. A week later, I dropped my current girlfriend and started dating the new girl. Oh, this is one of those moments that if you can go back in time, what you would do different, huh? At this time in my life, I was obviously very inexperienced and stupidly naive. Unbeknownst to me, my first girlfriend was already planning that we would get married. As a result of the breakup, she refused to talk to me for years. I had no idea how attached she was to me. This is part of how insanely stupid I was. This new girl I had been seeing for only 3 months when I proposed, and we were married 3 months later. You got married after knowing this chick for 3 freaking months when you're 18, 19 years old? Smack! What the hell for? Why? What? Because, she wasn't going to give any until you married her? You don't know anything about this girl. How did your family go along? Although let's do the math here. You're born in 53, so this is like 1972, give or take, 71, 72. Oh, God. But people did that shit back then. He says, I know, I was young, dumb, and full of cum. I was 19 at the time. We went on our honeymoon for a week. I had borrowed my parents' luxury car with a bench seat up front. The morning we were leaving to come home, instead of allowing me to open her car door, which is something I always did when we went anywhere, she opened it herself and got in. Oh, you were that guy, huh? Opening the car door for the girl. I asked her why. Her response was that we are married now, you don't have to do that anymore. I got in the driver's seat to leave, and she is sitting on the passenger side. I got irritated with her, so she begrudgingly moved to the middle to sit next to me. Up until this point, when we were together, we were always passionate with each other. Within just a few months, she started pushing me away when I would try to touch her. I found it puzzling whenever I had to go away for a day or two to work. She got extremely horny, and then when I got back, it was nothing. At 21 years old, we had our first child. Things continued on with me getting blue balls on a regular basis. So what happened? You rush in with a girl you barely know, and she figures she has you no matter what. We ended up with 3 kids. I started my own business at 25 years old. We had now moved into another home that we had purchased, and out of the blue, she asked me to take her away for the weekend. Normally, we would go camping and boating several times a year as a family. She made arrangements for a 3-day weekend. We arrived on Friday evening, and everything on mine was normal. At dinner, Saturday evening, in the middle of the restaurant, she tells me that she was having an affair with someone that was supposedly a friend of mine, and with full knowledge of the husband of my former high school girlfriend with whom I did business with. He was my realtor. Whoa! take me away so you can tell me this in the middle of dinner? Goodbye. Adios. We're done. I'm divorcing your ass. Well, I wish he said that, but that's not what happened. The reason I found out later for the trip and informing me at the restaurant was because she was scared to death of how I might react. I'm a pretty mild individual under most stressful conditions, but as with many people, when you push the right buttons, I can explode. And when that happens, I literally go blind for a few seconds. She tells me I look like the Hulk at those times. My chest swells, my lats expand, and my biceps bulge. I'm not that kind of violent person, but I'm not the one to be pushed in most circumstances. I'm 70 years old now and have never been in a physical fight in my life. I've had many guys over the years bring it to me. We've been toe-to-toe to my nose, and in every case, they back down. I don't understand it, but I've been told for decades how many people were afraid of me just from my appearance and demeanor. I just think I'm a nice guy. Sorry for the side ramble. Hey, it's okay. She'd been, let's see here. She had seen that happen on a few occasions when she pushed those buttons. I had to repair the sheetrock and a door on two when they happened to hit my fist. Funny thing is, she knows that she's doing that because of that. So I forgave her on the spot, slapped me silly. She's been cheating on you, having an affair with somebody you knew, and you let it go. Smack. Now, obviously, this is a different time period, and you had 3 kids. You want to break up a family, but still. Now she knows she can get away with this crap. Think about it. When we returned home, I called this asshole. He threatened me that I should not come to his home, that he would pull a weapon on me. He lived about 1.5 miles from my home. I was at his door in 10 minutes. Well, good for you. This guy was giving you a hard time. He's banging your wife, and really, he's giving you a hard time? His wife answered the door. He had just left for the airport. He put his house up for sale, and I bought it to get rid of him for good. Life went on for a few more years. You bought the house of the guy who's banging your wife? You still should have divorced her. You're going to see why, guys. This is the whole point. Off and on, my wife worked in my office. I own a service business. The office closed at 5 o'clock. I started noticing my wife coming home later and later. I became suspicious. But not only was she coming home late, at 9 p.m., but when she arrived, she immediately went to take a shower and put her clothes in the hamper. I'm guessing she wasn't doing any very difficult manual labor that required. She was sweating and smelling and dirty. She was washing the SEX off her. Coming home at 9 o'clock, no fucking excuse. At some point, I drove to my shop after hours to see if she was actually at the office. She was. I didn't want her to know I was checking in on her, so I couldn't get too close to the office. There was no place to be discreet. A few weeks later, we were at a friend's house in a hot tub with him and his wife and me, and I enjoying the conversation with wine. When my wife started crying, the other couple got up out of the tub and went in the house. My wife told me she was having an affair with one of my employees. Man, she has interesting places to break this type of news to you. So she cheated on you before, told you at a restaurant, and you stayed married to her. Fast forward in time, now she's hooking up one of your employees. You know how fucking humiliating that? Well, you know how humiliating that is. Should have divorced her before, but now you're still with her. Now what are you going to do? Now, is this time you're going to divorce her? Well, let's see. Needless to say, I was shocked. This was a married kid of 23 years old. She got out of the hot tub, got dressed, and started walking home. Home was 5 miles away. I sat there a while trying to wrap my head around this. I eventually got dressed and left. As I was driving my truck home, I was scanning the sideways looking for her, and I never saw her. I got home and she wasn't there. The friends we were with showed up at the house. I went for a walk around the block. When I came back, but whose vehicle is in front of my house? The boyfriend. He's married and lives 40 minutes from my house, but now it's about 11 p.m. I went for another walk and did not come back until sunup. She admitted cheating to you in the hot tub. She disappeared. Then you come home and see his truck, his vehicle at your house, and you let it go? What the fuck, dude? Yeah, smack. I should have smacked you many times. You're teaching her that there are no consequences to her actions. And by the way, gentlemen, this is decades ago, which goes to show what I talk about here on this channel relates to any time period. We went through a lot of crap conversation. In both of these situations, she'd been planning on leaving me for the other person. I told her to make her choice, leave or stay, but I wasn't asking. Turns out she was afraid of the unknown and stayed. Fortunately, that night my kids were away for overnight stay at their grandparents. They were totally unaware of either situation. Well, that's good. Yeah, she doesn't want to leave you because you are a provider. That's why. She can stay with you and you're not going to divorce her, and she can have her fun on the side. Do you think any woman respects their guy that knows that she cheats and there's no consequences? No. I got in a partnership with another competitor. We had the vast majority of the business in our field for the area. I let this employee go from my shop. Unfortunately, my partner took him in on another location. I'm typically not a person that shares his private life with anyone. The most humiliating day of my life, it was when my business partner invited me to lunch one day, and he asked me about the affair. Apparently, this piece of shit employee was bragging to others how he'd been banging my wife. About 9 months later, I was still suffering to some degree. My wife suggested I take some time for myself. She is working in my office full-time now with 2 other office workers. Oh, take some time for yourself, honey, while I go and hook up with the other male employees. Or maybe I'll throw a female employee there while we're at it. Why didn't you end it? You're not helping your kids. Your kids are going to know things are screwed up. I decided to take a week off. I loaded up my truck with the camping gear, headed out of state to visit a friend. I left Friday morning, got to a campsite in the mountains around 5 o'clock, set up camp, and ended calling my wife around 6:37, and no answer. Well, no kidding, no answers, because she's getting plowed away by the local chatter tyro in your neighborhood. My stomach turned upside down. I made it to my friend's house Saturday afternoon. He didn't know what I'd been up to, and Sunday morning I received a call from my wife. Supposedly, the piece of shit had heard I was going out of town, and he showed up at my office that afternoon. Shocker. My wife worked in the general office with 2 other gals. My wife cannot keep her mouth shut, so I know these women knew what was going on. When this guy showed up, she took him to my private office and closed the door. Talk about unbelievable disrespect. It's like she's doing it on purpose to punish you for being a weak bitch. And yes, that's what she was doing. Apparently, she dropped her pants for him. Dropped her pants? Don't mean skirt. I mean, this is, I guess, the 80s. The story I received was that he didn't touch her because he was afraid of me. I don't really buy that. If he's so afraid of me, why is he there at all? Yeah, it's bullshit. I just about lost my mind. I told my friend I had to leave, got in my truck and jammed. And I do mean jammed from where I was. It was about a 6-hour drive home. When I got on the interstate, there had been an accident an hour ahead and all southbound lanes were closed. There was a detour around it through the mountains, and this was about an hour-and-a-half detour under normal conditions. The road was an elevated, narrow 2-lane. Traffic southbound was heavy, and due to big rigs, I came up on the tail end of the back end with no oncoming traffic in sight. My truck was a Ford 4-door diesel dually with a 5-speed manual. We don't need all these details, sir. I know you love your truck, but we don't need all these details here. Traffic was backed up at least a mile. I got into the oncoming traffic lane and floored it. Whoa. I was doing 100 miles an hour as I'm passing all the traffic that is moving up 40 miles an hour. As I'm coming up in the lead truck, an oncoming truck is approaching, and I have nowhere to go except forward, and there are no shoulders. I kept my foot buried. Just as I cleared the lead truck, I started moving right and just clearing the oncoming truck. That trip should have taken 7.5 hours. I did it in 4. That is fucking crazy. You're going to risk your life or somebody else's life. I mean, you getting back any early is not going to make a difference. To this day, I don't understand why I drove the truck like that. No matter what I did, nothing would have changed. Exactly. It's not like you were going to leave her, and she knew it. You might as well, I don't know, have rockets installed in the back of your vehicle, or have a flying truck like the DeLorean in Back to the Future too, and you still would have done anything if you got there any sooner. I was raised old school. When I got married, I thought I was married for life. No. She obviously did not and had the same belief. I believed in forgiveness, and I thought that would pay me back. It did, but not the way I thought. You can forgive, I mean, you got to forget, and I mean, you got to stay with someone that repeatedly trespasses against you, if you will. After the second affair, I had seriously considered divorce. Well, there's an idea. But I looked at my 3 kids and didn't want them to experience that. Yeah, but your kids are experiencing a household where mom and dad are miserable. They know what it's like. Come on, I'm sure you ask any of them today and they tell you, thank God when you and mom divorced. The stress of this last go-around was such in 30 days, I had lost 15 pounds. 2 months after the latest revelation, I was sitting at my kitchen table having a glass of Jack. No, I wasn't drowning myself in whiskey. I'd been very quiet all this time because that's what I do when I have heavy things I have to deal with. My wife was washing the dishes. She turned around and looked at me, and her exact words were, "It happened, get over it." Yeah, she's really worried that you're going to leave her. Again, when women have no respect for a guy. I bet you if you laid down the law with her, I bet she probably actually would have found attraction for you. There are no consequences to her. None. It's like children that don't have consequences to their little asshole kid ways. I knew then it was over. You think? I still wouldn't leave because of my 3 kids. My wife's health started to decline at this point. My youngest is 4 years from graduating, so I hung on. Okay, so your plan was to wait till the youngest was an adult, out of the house, then you ditch the bitch. Well, I'm glad her health is declining because she's a piece of garbage. We moved into a new house we built on a specific location and couldn't sell due to market conditions. My youngest was the last child home and was going to be moving out soon. My wife was no longer working and was on SDI at this time because of her health. It was at a point where we could hardly speak. I would walk into the bedroom after a long day and she's watching TV. I started to speak and was told to shut up, I'm watching this program. Bro, I know you were born in a different time period and there's different attitudes on divorce back then, but nobody should tolerate this shit. And I know you know this now. I do. We can all learn from your mistakes, but my God. During this time, Friday and Saturday nights, my best friend and I would ride our Indian motorcycles. Oh, cool. We'd ride to this really nice bar and live music and dance floor. We would both pick up a dance or 3. Never once did I do anything but just dance with these women. Well, just dancing with other women is, in my opinion, not cool. Your wife is the biggest piece of shit in the world, a cheater and all that, but still, she could use that against you. When the dance was over, I would just go back to my chair at the bar. I know I left a number of not wondering what happened. I remember one evening I asked the husband of a woman for permission to ask his wife to dance, and he said it was okay, and so she did. You asked a dude if it's okay to dance with his wife? Yeah, not cool. You know, but he's this fucking idiot for going along with us. During the dance, she was very excited, and she told me if she wasn't married, she'd want to be with me. She said her husband doesn't dance. When the dance was over, I walked over to the back to the table. I leaned over and told the husband, if I were you, I'd learn to dance or you're going to lose her. Needless to say, that wasn't received very well. I later found out that he was an FBI agent. Due to many of my experiences in life, I'm surprised I'm still here. I digress. When she said that to you about if she wasn't married or whatever, that she'd be with you, that was her invitation, that if you make a move, I probably wouldn't say no. Shocker. So anyhow, one night I come home from the bar and I'm downstairs eating the dinner. I prepare for myself and watching TV. My wife comes down and immediately starts mouthing off to me about something. I can't remember what it was, so it must have been very trivial. I snapped, I took my plate and threw it at her. Fortunately, I missed. I got up from my chair, walked upstairs, and packed the bag and left. I live in California, so you know what that means for husbands in a divorce. At this point, we've been married for 33 years. 33 miserable years. You're 51 years old. My God, man. I never filed for divorce. I figured it's cheaper to keep her. I moved her into a studio apartment that we owned, paid a monthly amount of $1,500. I moved to divorce her a few years ago. Then COVID hit and the court dates kept moving. Then we found out that due to all the years she was on SSD, that any money she would receive from a divorce settlement would go to the government to reimburse them. I no longer pay her monthly amount. She collects on my SSI, and she lives with her mother. They make each other miserable. So, okay, you split up. It was cheaper to keep her on all this time. I've been on my own for 20 years. All 3 of my children are well-rounded people and successful in their own careers. Even though much of my marriage is difficult, that's putting it mildly. I've always tried to maintain a positive outlook, and when difficulties arise, just power through to the end. Well, that's called being a man, but you didn't have to stay married to her. In January, I'll be 71. I lead a drama-free life and keep busy with my business. I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. I enjoy my quiet time. Thanks for letting me air this out. There are a few people that know bits and pieces of the soap opera. This is the first I've laid out the majority experience. Good luck. Well, sir, there you go. I'm glad in the end you may have been with her for 20 years, and you're happy now, and you're enjoying your life on your business, your children, peace and quiet, all that. But my God, 33 years. You rushed into the marriage after 3 months? got married at 18 or 19, and endured all that crap. She really cheated on you. So, gentlemen, this is an example of what happens when women have no respect for you. When you rush into marriages, you don't stand up for yourself, lay down the law. This is a worst case scenario, but there you go. So this is why I teach what I teach, cover these stories and all that. So I'm glad in the end you're good. But my God, man, yeah, you sacrifice for your kids, but I hope that none of your kids are in bad relationships because that's what they saw growing up. So, but hopefully that's not the case. So anyhow, sir, that's a good story to share. I'm just sorry you wasted so much of your life, but that was on you. But hey, you know what? You're obviously a tough guy. You powered through it, and you're enjoying your life now with your kids and grandkids and all that. So, okay. And she's miserable in her own life. Good. She deserves that. So, we can definitely learn from this, and hopefully the young guys out there don't make the same mistakes. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.